Hello, good morning. This is Arlene. I am an ER nurse and I am a mom and also an online business owner. I came here in 2001. It was in October, first week of October, actually October 7th or October 8th. We came in through JFK Airport in New York. There are 10 nurses that came from the Philippines that got hired in one of the local hospitals here in one of the cities in Pennsylvania. It took about a year and a half, 2 years process for everything to go through. And finally in October of 2001, we all came together. We don't really know each other, maybe saw each other here and there as we were doing our papers back in the Philippines, but anyway, we all met each other at the airport in Manila, at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, and then from there we just bonded, and because we are like family. Like as I said, we came over through JFK Airport, and we came in I think midnight. And I know a coach bus, picked us up from JFK Airport and to bring us to Scranton, and that was, I think we got lost along the way. New York to Scranton is about 3 hours, and I guess the bus driver, we got lost and we don't care, we don't know, we trust the driver. Eventually we did get to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's just amazing how the hospital really took care of us. So as I mentioned earlier, the hospital really did go out of their way to make us feel welcome, to give us the support that we need. They thought, they put so much thought into to everything. It is a blessing. It is truly God's blessing. This the agency and the hospital. I've heard so many bad experiences from other Filipino nurses here when they first started, and I am just grateful that God provided us a wonderful experience and a wonderful hospital that really took good care of us. So as a new immigrant in a new country, when you arrive in a country all by yourself, it is hard. If you don't know what to expect, you don't know the way of life, you don't know how people do things, how things work, it is so hard. And the hospital administration really took care of those most basic things for us. They took care of our housing, they took care of our transportation, they took care of our like support group, meaning they provided a community of support group for us, Filipino community. They reached out apparently even before we came over, like when they know that when all the papers are done and they're just waiting for visa and waiting for like the legalities to to be pushed through. When they started preparations, they made plans already. So what they did is that they reached out to the Filipino communities in the area, because there are a lot of Filipinos in the area. There are doctors here, established doctors, Filipino doctors. There's two families of Filipino doctors that are really like the core group of the community that came together for us. There's some a physical therapist. There's like Filipino American families that are just living in the area that they reached out to, and they all came together for us. So they provided for that. So the hospital provided, as I said, for the housing, for the transportation. They provided us with clothing. We came here in October, and it is fall season, and fall, after fall is winter. We don't have any fall winter season in the Philippines. Obviously we have coats and everything, but we don't really know what to expect, like how cold is it really here. So they provided us with clothing, appropriate winter clothing, scarves, winter hats, mittens, gloves, winter boots, snow boots, everything, like ski pants. They provided ski pants. Like they put all these things together for us. They also provided for our food. Like they filled our pantry to the max. Like it is so, there's so much in there. It's like good for 3 months. So they have that for us. So the apartment is furnished. They have I don't think we have washing machine, but so we have to go to a laundromat to do our clothes, to wash our clothes and all that. But other than that, they furbish the apartment, our bedrooms. There's beds, there's mattresses, there's beddings, everything. They have baskets ready when we got there to welcome us. It is really nice. And you know what, coming from a perspective of like, from the Philippines, when you don't have that much and then you come here and you see all that, it is so much. It gives you it encouraged us, it encouraged me a lot. I'm sure my friends felt the same way too. So yeah, that was a really good experience. So for 3 months they took care of us, provided transportation for us from our apartment to the hospital when we go to work. They provided like a taxi, a cab for us. And initially we do like day shift because we're doing orientation for a couple of weeks, and then after that most of us work evenings and night shift. So it all came together. Like the taxi would come and pick us up, and then we would, once our shift is done, we will just wait in the lobby, wait for everyone to be done, and then the transportation will come and take us home. When it comes to like leisure time, like when it's not work related, then we do have to provide our own transportation. They did give us all the resources that we need. They gave us like schedule for the bus schedule, the bus route. They gave us numbers for the taxi, and also that's when the community came together also for that. Like we have a friend. She her name was Melinda, and she was a perfusionist, a travel perfusionist in the hospital, and she is half Filipino. Her mom is a Filipino. They lived in Florida, but she travels, so she was there for us. And then she has her own apartment also that was provided by the hospital, and she lives by herself. She has this pet rabbit, like a really huge cute rabbit named Jasmine. And so yeah, she has a van and she would drive us everywhere. She is our like big sister. And she would, on weekends when we're not working, or on our days off, she would, take us to her. She would take us, like in local areas, she would take us out to eat, like buffet, take us shopping, take us grocery shopping. It's funny, it's crazy. There's like 10 of us, and sometimes when we're all together and when we go and there's not enough seats, I don't know, but sometimes we get creative. And so yeah, it's just a wonderful experience. I enjoyed those first first couple of months, couple of first year or so, and also the rest also. But when we first started, it's just us, so we kind of bonded together, all of us. So yeah, and we would, like the other Filipino families would be inviting us to their houses for dinner and this and that. And even the hospital administration staff, or like they would invite us to their houses, like they opened up their homes, they opened up their families to us. So that was really a blessing. So that was wonderful. Another thing that they provided for us, um, basically those things, like as I said, they provided for our housing, our shelter, our transportation. They provided us with the resources that we need. They created this Filipino welcoming community for us that is our support group, that they really came together. Without them, I don't know what we'll do. They really helped us so much, and I cannot say thank you enough for those families and for those individuals that came together to help us feel welcome, help us get acclimatized to the area, to this new country, gave us pointers, gave us good advice, and just help us to you know help us to get oriented to this place, and help us to be successful. um, so what are the challenges that we met, me personally, because I cannot speak for the others, but for me in the first 3 months that we were here. So one, it's home number one, homesickness. You feel homesick for your family, obviously. It's good to have a good support group, and you get distracted. There's a lot of things that you need to do, that you can do to distract you and help you not think too much of home. But homesickness is number one, I think, for me. And then another one, it is, I think it is related to the homesickness, is you feeling you know you're you are looking for, craving for Filipino, um, everything Filipino food, Filipino entertainment. For me, mainly Filipino food. So walang, in this area at that time, 23 years ago, I think there's only, that we know of anyway, one Oriental store here, one Asian store, and it's not a Filipino store. So we have to go to New Jersey, to, because that's the closest in the area that we know of. We have to travel to New Jersey, and that's when Melinda comes in. I believe Melinda would come and would drive us to New Jersey also. If Yeah, so we would make a trip out of it. So yeah, like, when you crave those food, like we do have, like food wise, we have a full pantry, but it is like American food. So like there's waffles, things like that, pancakes, like mostly American. And initially, you enjoy that, but as time goes on, you are looking for food that is more of, reminds you of home. So that's another thing that was like a challenge for us, and how we go through that. Or what we do is, we would plan a trip to, as I said, New Jersey, and then we can do our groceries there, and then we can have some Filipino foods there. I think there's Jollibee. I don't know if the Jollibee is open at that time. I don't know when that opened, the one in Jersey City. But anyway, like there's definitely Filipino stores there. So yeah, lack of comforts of home, like food wise, homesickness for the family. Another challenge is the language barrier. Of course, we understand English. Of course, we grew up in the Philippines with English as the medium of teaching. The books are in English, but we don't really do conversational English. And it is hard to do that in the beginning. It's like you have to think it in your head first before you reply. So it might look like we are slow because of that. So that's one challenge there. It's just the language barrier. But as the more you are immersed in the language, as the more you interact with the Americans, of course they speak English and you speak English. So the more you are used to it, so the more practice you have. So that's how you overcome it. Um, so that was tough, speaking in English pretty much every day you go to work, because everyone's English. Your patients are Americans, and your coworkers are Americans. Um, I worked in the emergency department. I was the only Filipino nurse in there in the group. I'm the only one that was in the ER. Most of them, a couple were in the ICU. Most of them are in the floors, med surg floors. So yeah, and so language. The other is the work environment. Work environment is a challenge in a way, not because of I did not feel any discrimination at all, racial discrimination. Um, my experience is positive. My coworkers are wonderful. They are very supportive. The patients are very curious. They ask questions, and some might think that their questions are kind of like, at this day and age right now, if they ask those questions, they might consider it as, hey, you should not be asking that question. But I don't take it that way. I I consider it as they are very curious. They don't know much about my culture, about the country that I came from, about me as a Filipino, and they ask questions. And I welcome that. I don't think that as being inappropriate. And so I did not feel uncomfortable. They answer, and I mean, I answer their questions. They ask it in a nice, courteous, and polite way, and I did not feel offended at all. So, what else? So, oh, okay. Work environment. When I was getting ready to come and work and, move to America, to move to this country and uproot myself and what I know and all that. So, I am your typical 4'11 Filipino. All right. I am short for the average Filipino. So, I always feel insecure about my height. Now I don't care, but when I was younger, especially when I was in high school, but yeah, when I was younger, and I'm like, how am I going to take care of all these patients? They're a lot bigger than me, and everything will be so high, I can't reach things. So that to me was, I think it's funny now, and I think it's still, I don't know, I just think it's funny, but that was my apprehension. Like, I am short, I'm tiny. How am I going to take care of all this? They're a lot bigger than me, a lot taller than me, and everything, the work environment, things will be up high. Can I reach them? I mean, it's a valid, I think it is a valid concern for me. But anyway, my footstool is a friend. I have discovered at that time, and I have learned to not be afraid or embarrassed to ask people, like, hey, can you reach that for me? Hey, can you get that for me? I can't reach it. So that's how I went about that issue. So yeah, it's trivial, but it's funny looking back. That is such a big concern for me. So anyway, what else? What other challenges? So what I said, lack of comfort of home, meaning, you're craving for Filipino food, Filipino entertainment, Filipino, there's no Filipino channel. It's hard to find a Filipino channel at that time. So yeah, that's another thing. Like, you kind of get out of touch of news from the Philippines, entertainment and show business and all that stuff. But I'm not really into the show business, so I'm like, it's not a big deal for me. But it's one of those things, like the Filipino channel. It's hard to get that at that time. So yeah, language. That's one of the challenges. Work environment for me, it's not really, as I mentioned, it's kind of not no biggie. And towards the end of that 3-month period where they, we know after 3 months it's coming up, we have to um, find our own housing, find our own apartment. It's kind of, that's another challenge for us. And again, a lot of people, friends, Filipino friends, American friends, that came together and helped us with that. So that will be another topic for another video. But yeah, the idea of finding our own place, That's a challenge. Another one is building a credit history, which I will make another video about that. I think it needs a separate video of its own. And the last thing is like the transportation, because here you need to have your own transportation. It is a city, like Scranton is a city, but their public transportation, it's not really like in Manila where there's always like buses and jeepneys all over. Here it is like they have a schedule, and so you have to go with that schedule. They have like bus stops in different places, different routes, and they have a schedule like 30 minutes you have to wait. If you miss that, then you have to wait 30 minutes. So it is hard in that sense. You can use taxi cabs, but that is expensive. So another like that's a main consideration, like a big consideration after the end of like after 3 months. Then we know once we find an apartment, we have to find an apartment that is a walking distance to the hospital, because we really cannot afford yet to buy a car at that time. That's why we need to build up our credit history so we can get a loan to buy a car. Also, most of us don't know how to drive, so that's another thing. We have to learn how to drive, and it is very scary learning how to drive and also driving in a different country. But driving here in America is a lot easier than driving in the Philippines. I can tell you that now. But anyway, so yeah, those are the other challenges, which again I will address in another video. So yeah, those are my experiences here. Like maybe the first 3 months I looking back, I did enjoy those first year here, first second years. It was fun, and it was fun. It's like a carefree existence for me. And looking back, I did learn a lot that now if I can go back and give advice to my younger self, I would. And again, that would be another topic for another video. But all in all, my experience coming over here, the first 3 months was really, really, it was a good experience. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention, another challenge, this is related to being homesick, is calling card. Well, phone cards. I don't know what to call it anymore. It is so hard to call back home because you need to buy this card, and it's hard to find it here. Like the most we buy it from the Asian stores, and I forgot where we buy it aside from the Asian stores. But anyway, I'm sure we bought it somewhere too, like grocery stores maybe, but I don't know. But yeah, so you have to buy a card, so buy the minutes so that you can call home. So that was also, it's amazing. It is so expensive because it adds up. And now thinking like now, it's amazing how with technology, internet, smartphone, like Facebook Messenger, it's like so easy to reach your family in the other side of the world. So yeah, 23 years, and it's crazy how technology has advanced to this point. But yeah, that's one challenge at that time too, calling back home, because it is expensive to call home. And so yeah, so yeah, those are my experiences here as a young Filipino nurse, single, no family of my own. To me it was an adventure. Everything is new, everything is exciting, and there are challenges. But I have friends, the nurses that I came with. They became close friends. They became families, and we relied on each other. So that was a good support group that we've had, and on top of our friendship, like the 10 nurses, the 11 nurses that came, there's the Filipino community in this area that came together for us. They opened their families, they opened their homes to us, and we became one big family. So that was wonderful.